The Arant family has been farming this land in the Mississippi Delta since the early 1920s.
Like most everybody who's in the Delta now, their forefathers came from the hills and settled in this area, which is eastern the Sunflower, western Lafleur counties. We're east of Cleveland, northwest of Greenwood. So we're basically in the middle of nowhere around here, but we do have blacktop roads so and good gravel roads, so we're okay.
Our farm has been going for 90 years. I've been farming since 1978. The actual row crop, we are farming around 3,800 acres.
Brothers Hugh Jr. and David, along with David's son, David Jr., are the third and fourth generations of the Arant family to break ground here.
Years ago, when my daddy was still living, when I was a senior at Mississippi State, I told him I thought we'd make a better rice crop if we just got the water on it. And he said, well, you want to do it? And I said, yeah, I'd do it. Kind of as a challenge, and so I've been doing it ever since. And it's worked out well for Hugh and me because we know what we need to do for each crop, and so we just go ahead and do it, and we don't interfere with what the other one is doing.
For a long time, the Arants felt they wanted to add value to the rice they grew. They'd been milling and giving away some of their rice, so they thought it might be a good idea to do some more of that. But it was David Jr. that put the idea into practice.
The idea came a few years ago. We were just kind of standing around talking about how this farm to table movement is really growing and how important it is for people to know who is growing their food. And we really like the idea of, rice is one of the few things that farmers in the Delta grow that goes straight to the plate. And we really like that idea, and so we took that and ran with it as far as trying to start a mill and just beginning that whole process.
David Jr. graduated from Mississippi State with a degree in civil engineering and worked for a firm in Jackson before returning to the family farm. He's now the manager of the family-owned rice mill.
It's just been a long process of procuring equipment and figuring out how to do this and getting bags, and just took a long time to get to where we are now. I mean, there's a lot of learning involved. We had no idea what we were getting into when we started this whole process, but we've learned a whole lot. We've come a long way.
The Arants mill the rice as it is needed, and as the demand for their product grows, they expect to spend more and more of their time on this end of the business.
When the rice comes out of the field, we store it in our grain bins and we dry it to the proper moisture. And then when we have a need for rice here at the mill, we ship it over, and the rice goes through several different cleaning processes before we get it into the mill. And once it's been cleaned and we have a need, we bring it right here, and this bin holds the rice for the mill to mill it. The rice comes out of the bin, goes into this elevator, and there it is. It enters the mill. This machine right here is the mill. This part right here of the mill is what we call the husker. This takes the husk off of the rough rice. If you just want brown rice, this part right here gives you brown rice. And then the mill goes up here. This is just processes that separate the rough rice from the milled rice. And if we want brown rice, it'll just bypass the whitening process of the mill and go to the next step. If you want white rice, this part of the mill right here is the polisher, and it polishes the rice to a certain degree of whiteness. The polishing process is there's a series of stones and grates inside this machine that just grind the bran off of the rice. And the rice bran is separated out from the white rice. When the rice comes out of the mill, whether brown rice or white rice, it goes to the sifter. And the sifter is what separates out the small little broken pieces of rice, any kind of dust from the whole grains of rice. When the rice leaves the sifter, it comes up to this bucket elevator and goes to this color sorter. And the color sorter separates the colors of the rice, brown rice or white rice. It can distinguish between the two. The good rice comes out of this and it goes up to this machine, which is called the link separator. And this machine separates out the whole grains of rice from the broken grains of rice. Once the rice leaves the link separator, elevators take it up and goes to a bagging bin, Really just more of a day bagging bin. We like to just mill it out and leave it in there, and then we bag it up immediately so it doesn't sit in there. And this machine right here is our 1 pound and 2 pound bagging machine.
All of this bagging is done by hand, one at a time by David Jr. Delta Blues rice is sold in several places across the state.
In the Jackson area, we have Whole Foods, there's Everyday Gourmet, there's Sugar Magnolia in Madison, there's Persnickety in Madison. There's just a ton of places in Madison, and around the state, we have a lot of exposure in the state, and even all the way Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina.
And if you can't get by one of these places, you can always order online at deltabluesrice.com.
Rice is a very important crop to us. We always say rice is what got us where we are. And of course the soybeans are important, the corn's important, but on our type land, rice works really good.